Ahoy there. Today on the Red Sea, Redditors with jobs that land them in other people's homes. Cable guy, exterminator, etc. What's the strangest thing you have encountered in the line of duty? My dad used to do electrical work. While rewiring a condo on a multiple day job, he encountered the owner smash dolls in different positions around the house every day. They would set them up in casual positions like eating dinner or watching TV.
That guy either has some serious issues, or he's a god tier troll.
Former cable guy here. Once on Christmas Eve of all times, we got a trouble call about a channel being out. We get there, and the customers are an elderly couple. So what does all the talking? And the husband is in what appears to be a hospital bed in front of TV. He was very sick. Customer tell us her Catholic channel EWTN is coming in fuzzy and has terrible reception. Apartment. I go out to the van to get a cable box. He mentions to me how sickly the husband looks. He is convinced the guy is dead. I assure him his wife would not be worried about getting the cable fixed if her husband was lying in the living room dead. We get the cable box, fix the channel issue, and go to leave when she tells us thank you so much for coming. Apparently they had been married 50 some odd years and watched the same show on the EWTN channel or whatever it was at the time every day since they had been married. She said her husband has passed away earlier that night and she wanted to watch it with him one last time before she called the authorities. Back in high school I was helping a friend's family move. Let's call my buddy Jay. A little background: Jay was remarkably well grounded for the shite that he had gone through in his life. His mom had been married around 7 times, and every time she got divorced he moved to a new city. 3 of the ex-husbands are there helping move as well. I was amazed how well they got along. Come to think of it though, they are all Eskimo brothers after all. Anyways, we're boxing up and moving out all the stuff in the house to the U-Haul, and we move on to Jay's mom's room. She was in the kitchen making us lemonade. The bedroom is crowded, and we decide to take the bed apart first to make more room. The next set of events happened in slow motion. 2 of the ex-husbands start to lift up the mattress right as Jay's mom walks back in. She says wait in. Right then the mattress gets flipped, revealing a hidden compartment in the bed frame. You guessed it. Dildos. But plugs that look like carrots. Ball gags. Handcuffs. Riding crops. Whips. Leather stuff. Things I could not even imagine what their names were. But weirdest of all was a hairdryer. What the hell was that doing there? My buddy's mom freaks out and drops lemonade everywhere while trying to cover up the scene. The ex-husbands start laughing and high-fiving him, standing there without any clue what the hell to do. And Jay, well, this cucumber cool mofo says, oh mom, not again. I worked my way through college installing security systems and other electronics. One day I had a service call at a house in a lower income side of town. The outside of the house was pretty run down, the lawn overgrown, but nothing too alarming. The old lady that lived there, alone, answered the door in her nightgown. She was nice, but I could tell right off the bat she was not totally with it. The inside of the house was fairly clean compared to the outside, but there was dog shite everywhere on the floor. I spent the first 20 minutes waiting for this obviously large dog to show itself. After being in every room of the house and finding no dog, I decided to look out back to finally identify the beast. But before I could, the little old lady walked past me, gown flowing, and in stride dropped 2 large turds on the carpet directly in front of me. I lost it. The smell was unbearable. I went outside to gather my thoughts and decided I would just knock out the installation as quickly as possible and get the duck out of there. I was done in 45 minutes flat. Poor old lady. I spent a couple years as an autopsy assistant for a major US morgue, and half of that job was going to crime scenes to pick up victims. So I saw an obscene amount of crazy shite, but a few things stand out. The nastiest decomp scene I ever went to was, incidentally, the grossest hoarder house I ever set foot in. It was a shanty that was falling the duck apart, housing 2 elderly ladies. The floor was built up a couple inches in dog/cat/other shite. There were random newspapers everywhere. But the creepiest thing was the dozen or so bird cages, with bad bones in them, no lighting or rack or running water. Typical extreme hoarder situation. This was the only scene I ever wore knee-high rubber boots on. The smell was indescribable. As far as the old ladies go. One was around 60, the other around 80, a mother and daughter. Daughter had been taking care of mother, who could not leave her bed. Then we figured daughter got sick and died, leaving mother to slowly starve. Not only was the mom starving, but so were the 3 pit bulls that they owned. The dogs were removed before we got to the scene, but they definitely ate about half of each lady in the 2 months that their family did not check on them. We're talking just the pelvis/legs remained. It was graphic. The poor dogs were put down, victims of circumstance. The other craziest order scene was also a decomp. An old man whose house was a wreck with a little path carved through the trash. Everything was in utter disarray except one wall of DVDs that were pristine and alphabetized. It was all filth. And he died fapping. We would say he came and went. Hand still around his dick and all. Kinda sad. He had a few military medals on display and no one cared enough to check on him for weeks. At another non-decomp scene, I saw a room full of sand/bondage gear like a big, complex setup. I always thought the most interesting part of the job was seeing how people lived. In the same day, you could pick up a suicide in a swanky penthouse apartment, or a natural homeless death in a cardboard box on the street. I kept a journal the whole time and will someday write a kick-ass book. Paramedic. One time I walked into a house to find a dead guy that weighed about 400 lbs. All around him were KFC buckets ... Probably 30 in all. Not that weird until I realized he had filled every single one with piss. I was once working on a bathroom conversion. The guy whose house it was came into the room and asked if he could take a leak. Sure. It'll get out of your way. The toilet's working again now, it's okay. It'll just use the sink. No, it's alright, the toilet's working now. He'll use the sink. He used the sink. Imminent tech at a small consulting company in a small town. We mostly do document imaging for hospitals, schools, and municipalities. But unfortunately I sometimes work with the public. While installing some IP cameras in the home of a customer, I found myself underneath the desk where the modem, router, and switch were located next to a crusty, old notebook. I caught wind of an oddly familiar scent while noting how crunchy the carpet was. And then I realized that this was the homie Arwana's FAP station. He had been shooting knuckle children all over the floor. Full body cringe. I went to a female employee's house to troubleshoot why her VPN connection would not stay connected. I started troubleshooting the hardware first and asked where her router was. She said it was in her office on the window ledge. I walked into her office and checked out the router. I started tracing the network cable back from the router to her PC, which ran to a network switch behind her bookshelf. I pulled out the bookshelf a little to get access to the switch and a box fell off the top shelf. Once it hit the ground, 3 dildos rolled out as well as a butt plug with a hand pump attached. I did not know what to do and just stared at the dildos in amazement for what seemed like 30 seconds. The lady quickly picked up the box and dildos and left the room. I did not see or hear from her for the whole hour I was there. When I left, I was walking to the front door and she stayed in the kitchen and just whispered thank you. As a pizza delivery guy in high school I have ran into hundreds of weird things in people's houses, but perhaps the strangest is when I delivered to this huge house in a very rich gated community. We delivered there often, but I did not recognize this house number. I go through the gate and drive about 3 miles down to the very last house in a cul-de-sac. It was a small order, about $24. And when I pull up to the house there was another gate which I had to buzz in. The guy says show your face in the camera. So I do. He then says okay come through. It opens up and I'm walking down the driveway as I see a fenced in area with at least 10 pit bulls. The driveway had 3 all black SUVs, 1 van, and 2 F-250s. I ring the doorbell and a guy looks through the eye hole and asks pizza? I say yes. He opens the door and a huge dude with black sunglasses opens it and says give me the receipt. I give him the food. He signs the copy and slams the door. As I'm walking down the driveway I see 2 guys in the back of the van, again with black sunglasses, unloading boxes. As I peek and I see what looks like 100 boxes. He sees me and says keep walking kid. As I walk back towards my car past the barking dogs I look at my receipt. He gave me a $20 tip on the 1 pizza. As I'm pulling away I can see the giant screen on top of the pool and it was completely covered in this tarp-like material. I have hundreds of stories, but that was the strangest. Used to work for DirecTV as an installer. One day I get a guy in a rural area and I'm having trouble finding his house. I call him on the phone and get no response. Wait about 10 minutes and again no response. Eventually, I spot his road, unmarked, from the street and drive up to his shanty. I bang on the door and get no response. I bang on the door again and eventually hear a yell from the back side of the shanty. I walk around back and there's an elderly black man standing in his kitchen with his phone within reach and a pot of some foul substance boiling on the stove. I say hi, I'm here to install your DirecTV. Did you get my calls? I do not pay no attention to that while I'm making chitlins. Alright. Would you like me to start the install? Do what you gotta do. Mac and chitlins. Used to work for a company that sold bars, theater chairs, billiards equipment, etc. Very attractive women answered door naked and stayed that way the entire time we were there. It was a hot day, and since we'd already seen the goods, she felt no need to put them away. When I was first out of high school, I installed Windows. Not Microsoft, but actual Windows. For a few years. We had a big commercial job to do. A 7-story building that had been renovated into apartments. For some reason the building was being finished from the top down. So while the upstairs units, 6th and 7th floors, were mostly finished, except running water. Remember this? The lower floors were still being finished out. One day I was going around on a boom lift caulking all of the upper windows, while my other guys were installing windows on the lower levels. Well, one of my guys apparently decided that he had to take a dump and did not want to walk down to the porta potty a block or so down the road. He just went to one of the upper apartments that were finished, except for the running water. It turns out that they had already started showing the finished units to people who were interested in renting them. So there is my worker sitting on the toilet taking a shite when the building manager pops in with a prospective tenant. They open the bathroom door and see him sitting there taking a dump. But it gets worse. At almost the exact same time, the general contractor had shown up on site and wanted to go up in the lift with me to inspect the caulking job that I had done on the windows. We were just swinging the boom past the bathroom window of that same unit when all of this went down. So as we are passing the window, I see my worker sitting on the toilet with his pants down and the building manager standing in the bathroom doorway with a young couple who had a really surprised look on their faces. I saw what was going on and hoped that the GC did not see it. I tried keeping my hand pressed on the joystick that controls the boom and swinging past the window as quickly as I could. The GC must have caught a glimpse of what was going on, however, because he grabbed my hand to push the joystick back over the other way to line us up with the window, where he saw the same thing I did just a split second earlier. My worker stood up at that time to pull his pants up, revealing the name of our company on the back of his shirt. Luckily we were able to continue the job, but that worker was no longer allowed on the site. If you are reading this, you watched until the end of the video. Smash that like button if you have enjoyed it. Bam. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch more videos. That's about it. There is no more here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? This is not a secret, but subscribe for more videos like this.